Now, Tom, what do you make of this? Is this a sign of weakness from King Charles that, Sunak forced him into it? Or is he playing a cunning game to be politically involved still?
Well, I think it's both. But unfortunately, it confirms what I've always feared about King Charles, is that he'll court controversy. Charles wants to be in the middle of the picture. And I think that even if the government had asked him, and they certainly would have said, do you want to meet Ursula von der Leyen, he and his advisors should have said firmly no. But, of course, he wanted to do it. And that's the whole problem. That's why Downing Street can say it was the palace's idea and vice versa. Because they probably said, what do you think about it? And he said, yes, I want to. Because he wants to impose himself as a sort of a broker of this country's fate. And that, of course, is a huge danger of Charles's reign. He just is far too prejudiced, he's far too controversial, seeks far too much the limelight.
So do you think that makes him a weak king?
It makes him a king in danger. He's endangering the monarchy, and he's got enough problems with Andrew, Harry, and all the other things.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't do himself any favours, and that is really why, in the end, my book is called The Rebel King. He's always courted problems, and he dives in headfirst and doesn't realise the damage he causes.
So do you think he will ever change his ways? I mean, it's very difficult for someone... I mean, how old is he now, 74?
75. No, he won't. No, that's the problem. And it'll get worse. I think he just fears time is short, and he wants to make sure that he's got some position in history, and that is why he'll choose any opportunity to appear.
So what do you think? I mean, I know you weren't there, obviously, but, imagine you were a fly on the wall with the chat he had with Ursula yesterday. What do you think the conversation would have run like?
Well, I think he would have been very political. It wouldn't have been about flowers and natural history. It would have been about the EU, about Britain's role in the EU, and what he might do to help bind Britain closer to the EU. And I think that is the danger, that he actually sees his role.
Do you think that's what he wants? Do you think, I mean, if he had a choice, if he could, be an old-fashioned king and say, right, I decree that we have to rejoin the EU, do you think that's what he'd do?
I think he's not a natural Brexiteer, put it like that. And I think he's much more in favour of closer union with Europe. And he would have urged the EU president to follow that course, and that's the problem.
Does he listen to anyone? Does he listen to his wife? I mean, is Camilla the sort of wife that would go, look, listen, love, that's a really bad idea?
He listens to Camilla, but not about politics. That isn't her strong suit.
Oh, right.
But Charles's greatest problem is that whoever gives him advice which he doesn't like, he fires. He doesn't like taking advice from people who criticise him. That has been his great weakness throughout his life, that it's very dangerous. He always says, I never want to see that man or woman again, if they give advice and say, no, you can't do that. And that's led him into huge amounts of problems.
Sounds very childish, doesn't he?
He's petulant. He's a king. He wants to be the king. He doesn't want to be controlled.
I guess he's in the ultimate job now, but it's
On sufferance.
Well, yes. Do you think he'd rather not be king?
Oh, he wants to be king.
Yeah.
But he wants to rule. He really does want to be the king.
He wants to be, interesting. His mother wouldn't have done anything that
No, she wouldn't have.
No.
That's why she was so revered.
Talking of revered, actually not at all revered, over in the States, you know where we're going with this one, the insufferable Sussexes will continue on their money-making media campaign this weekend as Harry hosts a live stream interview with supposed trauma expert Dr. Gabor Matai. Tickets for the event, which promises to discuss living with loss and the importance of personal healing, will cost £17. But the doctor providing his expertise has a pretty checkered past. Dr. Matai has been threatened with arrest by Canadian authorities for treating patients with the world's most psychedelic drug, ayahuasca, is it? I've obviously never tried it. Maybe I should. Ayahuasca. As well as being an outspoken supporter of decriminalising all drugs. No wonder Harry's such a fan of his. Oh, God, yeah, he's got previous as well, hasn't he? So, Tom, is Prince Harry now leaning on fringe characters, I think is a polite way of describing him, to actually boost his celebrity status? Because that's pretty much all he's got going for him now, isn't it?
Well, this is the most bizarre promotion campaign I've ever heard of. I mean, clearly it's to boost his book, which has now got sales are flagging, so let's give it a boost. But I think that Harry is in danger of becoming a sort of a deranged, drug-addicted weirdo. I mean, to actually position himself with Gabor Mattei, a man who really is pretty odd himself, to say the least, who is in deep, deep shock that his mother abandoned him for a few weeks when he was a baby and has never recovered from it. And this is the thing about Harry, he seems to have got into a whole rhythm. It started with The Medium, where he talked to a psychic about talking to his mother, his dead mother, and that seems to have been very important. Then he's on speed dial with a therapist for years and years and years.
Oh, but the wife wasn't, obviously. She couldn't see a therapist. He had one on speed dial.
And then now he's with this weird man, and they're going to talk about therapy to survive. The whole point about therapy is you're meant to cure yourself, not to be continuously wallowing in it. And he seems to be wallowing all the time in his victimhood and misery. And so he really is going off the spectrum, in my view.
What do you think his dad would be thinking about this one?
Well, his dad, hopefully, if only his dad would think straight about this one. We're right. He would say, you can't come to the coronation. We don't want some deranged nutter here. But I fear that Charles hasn't yet seen the lessons. But I'm sure there's going to be some extraordinary headlines out of this weekend therapy session because he wants to sell the book.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
he's going to drop more bombshells about his family and all his misery.
Ooh.